what is fair trade and how would it apply to the cultural sector is an important place to start. Um, so, for example, I would say that fair trade is about really creating a market environment in which content that is by and large either marginalized from the market or inaccessible to key markets, um, that particular set of problems be addressed or redressed. So it's really about creating access in the first instance. It's also about ensuring that uh, there is proper valuation of the work and the intellectual contribution of particular producers so that they get fair remuneration for their work. This is a major issue that's being debated currently, particularly in the digital environment. So for example, in the music arena, we talk about the value gap. Companies like Google, like Apple, Spotify, Netflix, and so on are able to make huge income from the creative sector, but the contribution that they are making in terms of payments to the producers of these works is minimal in relation or in relative terms. That value gap needs to be bridged. But this is a global issue. And in many respects, it's a fair trade issue. The other gap that needs to be, in effect, closed is what we call the genre gap, which is that it's only a small percentage of the cultural production from the world that is now being accessed on these platforms. How can we widen that so that it's more representative? And in this respect, what we are calling for is not just cultural diversity, which really dovetails with the UNESCO 2005 Convention, which talks about the promotion and protection of cultural diversity. We are also talking about cultural inclusion, which is how do we ensure that we are making available to the world content from the world and not just a very narrow casted diet of cultural content. So we need to move beyond just Hollywood, for example, to include Nollywood from Nigeria and Bollywood from India, but also content from the Pacific regions, from other small regions like the Caribbean, from Latin America, Africa, and so on. The last point would be, how do we then ensure that fair trade leads to a notion of economic development? Because fair trade is not an end in itself, it's a means towards an end. And so creating the environment where not just digital content, but content in the material world can ultimately flow into the livelihoods of ordinary people all around the world. And in that sense, the fair trade movement has really made an important contribution to the development process. I would say that it's not been given its due credit, but it's something that needs to be mainstreamed across the world and in all the key institutions. It's something that we need to put onto the curriculum within the academy as well, so that we train people to understand the importance of fair trade as a broad concept that applies to humanity.